Did you guys, both of you guys, like the people around you, friends, family, did you guys get a lot of encouragement for the things you were heading down? Like some of the things you're doing now, like were people encouraging you, or were there people like, you need to hurry up and get a real job? You need to, I mean, especially because like you had kids before the slingshot took off, right? You had Quinn and Jake before the slingshot.
I had Jake.
You had Jake, right? But did you have people that were kind of saying you need to you need to quit this and head towards something else, or were people encouraging you? Because that's a pretty big deal.
There was a little mix of both, I guess, but for the most part, for people that knew me less, there was a lot less support, and for people that I think most people just never had any clue what I was going to do, whether it be my brother or whether it be my wife. My wife was even like, I think,
damn, that's trust.
She was like, I think you need to get a job, you need to get more of like a steady income. Cause I had jobs, but they weren't great and they didn't pay much. And so, she was, and I got fortunate with that as well, because my wife was the breadwinner for the family for many years. So there's situations in my life that like afforded me to go to the gym and spend the time that I spent there without making a lot of money. So I didn't need to make a lot. I just needed to like make something. But yeah, I think from a support perspective, there was enough support initially from like my parents from the time I was really young to have enough confidence in myself to just kind of ignore how supportive people were or weren't.
I think that's a pretty big deal, because there's a side of things where you do need people around you. Like you do need friends that will call you on shit. So if you do have a dream, and there's nothing wrong with having a dream of something, and let's say you are taking action, but let's just say the dream, is like, it's not panning out, right? It's really not panning out. And maybe it's like, it is to the level of like literally being like, ooh, if you're lucky, like if you're super fucking lucky, like there's no chance. Like you're doing it over and over and you're not progressing. You do need people that are going to call you and be like, okay, you need a course correct, or maybe you need to shift a little bit. But
maybe a lateral move rather than like a big giant step forward.
Because you probably know people that come to mind that it's like you see they've been banging their head on something for years, and even in your mind you're like, you need to switch up, buddy. You need to switch up. So you do need people like that. But like I would say I was very lucky, because my mom, coming from where she came from, like dropping out of college as an African kid is not good. Like you don't like when I did drop out and some of my family found out about it later, everyone was like messaging her and calling her like, what's your son doing? Well, what is your son doing?
Probably like, I always knew he was going to be a fuck up.
Actually,
here it comes.
The exact opposite. Like you stress yourself out so much, and now your son drops out of college. Huh? Like they were really banging it down, trying to have her like, he needs to get back in school. He can't come to this country and fail. But it was wild, because she was like, he's got a good head on his shoulders. Like
if you think about it, your mom, the whole reason for the family moving here and everything that she worked for was to give you that amount of breathing room to figure your own shit out, give you the freedom.
Yeah, but there was a massive level of trust on her end, because I know a lot of African families, and that's
a lot of pressure.
If there's any kid who leaves school or tries to go for something else, like me, like the family is like, what the fuck are you doing? Like it doesn't make sense in the culture, right? But she was actually like, as long as you have a plan, right? I trust that you'll be okay. And she was super supportive, and that was a really big deal to me, because she's the only parent I had, right? So if the only parent I had that raised me my whole life was like, you can't fucking do this, go like, I don't know if I would have continued heading down that road if I didn't have a level of her support, because she raised me, right? So I think that is huge if you're a parent and you do have a kid that's trying trying to do things that's outside of the general box of what you see. Guys, you guys watch these podcasts and you see Mark, Andrew, and myself smashing our feet each episode. We're using the Nero ball from Naboso along with some of the different mats on the bottom of our feet to help drive sensation, stimulation, and blood flow to the bottoms of our feet. Andrew, how can they get it?
Head over to naboso.com. That's NABOSO.com. And at checkout, enter promo code POWERPROJECT to save 15% off your entire order. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
You do have, some kids just like, they won't pay any attention to what their parents say, but some kids really will pay attention. And if you're a parent and you massively discourage your kid from going the route of something creative, even though it's probably from a side of I care for what you're doing and I'm trying to not have you fail, you could either help them like not go towards their dreams and go a normal route, or you could help them achieve some really cool shit towards their dreams. You know,
I think you do want to have a plan. I think that's a critical thing, is at least having, do you have a plan, or are you currently working on stuff? So for me, I could always say like, well, I was at the very least always working on like my body. I was working on my strength. I was working on, learning more about nutrition. I mean, I've read, all these different books and all this different crap, and went to seminars and really submerged myself in this stuff to where I thought about it day and night for many, many years. And then being in powerlifting is not the way that I was in powerlifting is not too much different than the way that you see people like in MMA now. Like they're in the gym the whole day. That's what I was. I was in my gym the entire day. If I wasn't in my gym, I was in Jesse Burdick's gym. We talked about the squat. We talked about the deadlift. We talked about the bench. Oh, I wonder if you had this grip. I wonder about this stance. I wonder, what if we wore these shoes? What if we tried this method? What if we did everything that you could think of, everything that we could think of at the time. We used bands and chains and all this different stuff. We even had somebody that that hooked bands up to the bar, and the bands were able to like pull off in between each set because this guy made like this hydraulic fucking thing. It was too dangerous and it didn't work. But like we literally tried to think of everything. That's where our minds were. That's where the fascination was. And for some people that were around at those times, like Chris Duffin comes to mind. Chris Duffin had a more 9-to-5 job, and he did that simultaneously while building himself up and building up his knowledge in strength training, building up his knowledge as a power lifter. And he's always someone that was tinkering with stuff. He was always like an inventor. And so I think you kind of need like some sort of plan. You definitely need action. You need to have action. And then there might be like a lot of like lateral moves that you might need to make. For me, like things weren't working out great, but Andy and I decided to start Power Magazine. I didn't really know exactly what that would do, but that hit upon the thing that I loved in the first place, which was being able to share information with people and being able to get people excited about powerlifting, the sport that I loved. I was already shooting the YouTube videos. I didn't know what those were for or what those were doing. But again, those made me feel good because it was the same thing. I was able to deliver a message to people, and I was able to, become like a material expert within a certain space. And I think I just always thought that it would just work out to be able to leverage this at some point for something, to be able to monetize it in some way, because my mentor, Louis Simmons, did something similar. And so I just kind of kept my spirits up the best I could. Not every day was easy. There was a lot of days where my shitty car would break down and I would be smashed across the head with reality. And there would be days where I would just also, set a PR in the gym where I was like, I'm on to something. Like this is something. Like this is cool. But I think people on the outside were like, well, I don't understand. Like what's it matter if you got a PR in your 2-board bench press? Like, you don't understand. I've been working on this for so long. This is like a thing. Like I got like a recipe going here. And so it wasn't always easy to kind of to stick with it, but that's what I wanted to do.
You know what's interesting though? It's like from what you just mentioned, like, yeah, that's what you wanted to do. And a lot of the messaging that people get as far as like, I guess, entrepreneurship and starting your business and all this shit is like, it all comes down to you, your decisions and your grind, right? I always use the word your grind. But I think a cool thing is that we can all acknowledge that a lot of where we are and what we're doing is a lot because of the support of the people around us. You know what I mean? It's like there is a lot of like you were keeping your nose to the grindstone in terms of what you wanted to do. Like you were staying focused, but there was people that were also like, hey, supporting that goal that you had.
Hey, if you want to make Squirtle squirt, I know you're enjoying this content, so like, comment, subscribe, and head to the Power Project Discord below. Peace.